Welcome back to Sips for Change, where we're caffeinated and pumped to bring you today's conversation about climate resilient event planning, preparing for extreme weather.
which means how you plan around not having your festival washed away by monsoon, or your gala being smoked out by a forest fire, or your speaker's flight being canceled due to the airplane tires melting on the tarmac.
Exactly. Heat waves, hurricanes, wildfires. These are no longer rare occasions. Global insured losses from natural disasters hit around $140 billion recently in 2024, the third most expensive year on record.
Meaning that climate change alone has been responsible for tens of billions in insured losses, which is the insurance industry's boring but very real way of saying communities and events are getting hammered.
Therefore, let's take time today to discuss practical strategies even planners can use, such as venue risk assessments, flexible contingency plans, smart cooling that doesn't blow the grid, and how insurance is changing.
So grab your beverage of choice and let's turn panic into planning. Let's start with the why. We're seeing more frequent and intense extreme weathers like heat waves, wildfires, and flooding and storms.
2024 was recorded as the hottest year so far, and in less than a year, there were over 70 heat waves across dozens of countries affecting billions of people. That's not just theoretical or statistics. That's actually my attendees are at risk territory.
And extreme weather doesn't just cancel events. It disrupts travel, knocks out power, ruins homes and venues, and can trigger statewide emergencies.
Right, just because your event region isn't experiencing a tsunami or a tornado doesn't mean it's not at risk of suffering from the results of climate change. Warmer temperatures could cause health complications and increase the risk of spreading disease.
A good example of this would be the increasing amounts of fungi becoming resilient to warmer climates. This could cause mold-related issues, property damage, and crop damage.
Which could mean a shortage of crops for your buffets, driving up prices and pricey renovations for venues to treat fungi infestations, leading to less access to them during these processes.
There had also been reported cases of extreme heat damaging infrastructures, which causes outages of service like water and electricity, and even potential delivery delays on goods.
So, if you're still thinking about this as a one line rain plan, or you're underestimating risk to your operations, your finances, reputation.
But here's the encouraging part. With better risk mapping and risk planning, you can increase resilience and bounce back even faster when something does happen.
Think of climate resilient planning as the upgraded version of bad weather planning. It's a simple mindset shift.
So let's start with venue risk assessments. If you're an event planner, your new favorite question should be, what climate risks does this region encounter?
Exactly. Start with the basics. What natural hazards are prominent in this area? Heat waves, wildfires, floods, hurricanes, smoke. How, if any, have the events in this region been disrupted in the last 5 to 10 years?
When you do site visits, add a climate lens checklist. Is the venue in or near a flood or coastal storm surge zone? How many entrances or exits are usable during heavy rain or smoke? Is parking on paved ground or is it easily waterlogged fields or parking garages?
Also, ask about infrastructure. Think backup power. Do they have generators? What do they actually power? Lights, AV cooling? HVAC capacity? Can they handle a prolonged heat wave, not just a warm afternoon? Indoor air quality. Can they filter smoke or poor air if wildfires affect the region?
And don't forget to access risk. Extreme weather can shut down airports, disrupt public transit, or make travel advisories kick in, which affects attendance even if your venue itself is technically fine.
A bit of real talk. If the venue's answer to every risk question is, we've never had a problem, that's not a plan. That's history. Climate patterns are shifting quickly. And worst case scenario, this assessment may help you steer clear of the location to avoid this risk overall.
Risk management planning should be something you're already doing for your events anyway. So this simply builds upon that and factor in a new climate risk matrices. This will also help you consider proper insurance for your events, which we'll cover about later.
Once you know your risk, the next step is simple because you'll get to doing what you do best: planning. In this case, the focus is having something flexible and modular, plans you can scale up or down as conditions change. So let's go through some examples.
For instance, for heat waves, have a heat protocol ready. Set earlier start times or later start times or later end times, and have more shade, more water, more breaks, and more access to fans. Pre-agree with the venue on temperature thresholds for certain changes to kick in, like moving certain sessions indoors. Consider the surfaces you're using. Avoid big expanses of dark asphalt or dark colors to absorb heat where possible. Use lighter impermeable surfaces or existing green areas.
For storms and flooding, plan alternate access routes and clearly communicate them to attendees. Pre-script communications for delay, move online hybrid, and full cancellation scenarios so you're not writing emails at 2 a.m. in a panic. Confirm what happens if authorities issue travel warnings asking people to stay home.
For wildfires and smoke, include air quality thresholds like AQI levels at which you move activities indoors or cancel outdoor components. Check if the venue has decent filtration and the ability to keep windows closed while maintaining safe indoor temperatures. Source portable air filters if needed as well.
Hmm. All in all, the most powerful tool for you is a flexible contract. Consider negotiating with your partners. Clauses that address extreme weather explicitly, not just generic force majeure. Options to pivot to hybrid or fully virtual format without massive penalties, especially during known risk seasons.
And most importantly, practice your plan. Run a tabletop exercise with your team. If it's 40 hours before the event and a heat wave plus a storm or are forecasted, what do you do exactly?
Absolutely. Have a solid playbook means you're prepared to adapt on the fly when weather throws a curveball. But even the best plans can't eliminate every risk, especially as climate events become more frequent and severe.
And that's a perfect segue into our next part of our conversation, which may not be an exciting topic, but could be your safety net.
Yes, and it's a very important part of your backup plan: insurance. Climate driven losses are pushing insurers to change how they work.
With rising costs from wildfires, hurricanes, and floods, and just severe storms, insurance companies, insurers are raising premiums, especially in high risk regions, and tightening up underwriting, sometimes reducing coverage or even exiting certain markets overall.
Hmm. In some places, this is creating insurance deserts where coverage gets scarce or very expensive, which can hit events hard.
So for event planners, that means start insurance conversations earlier in your planning cycle, especially for outdoor events or those in high risk regions. Ask clearly what counts as adverse weather that triggers cancellation coverage. Just is hurricanes, or is it also extreme heat or smoke or even government advisories?
Some innovative tools like parametric insurance pay out based on specific triggers, say a certain rainfall level or wind speed, rather than proving detailed damage afterward.
The upside to this option is that it's faster, more predictable payouts. The catch is that you need to make sure you're aligned with those triggers with your real operational risks.
And remember, many insurers now expect clients to be proactive about risk, doing assessments, planning for resilience, and documenting those steps.
Which means your climate resilience work is not just about attendee and event safety. It also can help you secure better insurance and more financial protection when something does happen.
Let's wrap this up with a practical checklist for event planners who are feeling a little overwhelmed but want to start today.
3 starter moves. Update your site visit checklist to include climate risk questions, including local hazards, backup power, indoor air quality, extreme heat capacity, etc. Create a risk management playbook, thresholds for risks, plus pre-written communication and flexible programming options that you can execute on demand. Meet your insurer early to understand what's covered, what the trigger payouts are, and how you can improve your risk profile.
Then you can take that a step further. Collaborate with venues that invest in urban cooling strategies, efficient buildings, and renewable energy. Also, build strong local networks, suppliers, community groups, emergency contacts, because resilience is also about relationships.
The reality is, extreme weather isn't going away, but you are not powerless. Every risk assessment, every thoughtful contingency plan, every efficient strategy you have is a way of taking care of your attendees, your team, and your business and your event.
And it aligns with the bigger sustainability and DI goals we talk about on this channel, protecting the most vulnerable, reducing emissions, and designing events that can adapt instead of collapse.
If this episode gave you some ideas or calmed your inner doom scroll, hit like, share with your fellow planner, and drop your questions or real life climate event stories in the comments below.
Until next time, keep making conscious choices, one step at a time.
See you next time.